What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Let's dive into the ADA charts. I felt a little bit irresponsible if I didn't do a video going into this weekend. I didn't do a video yesterday. I took a day off. I was about to take another day off today. I have a lot going on over here, but I was like, you know what? Let's do a quick TA because there are really cool things happening on the charts right now for ADA. Want to talk about it. We're going to dive in, really dig into this daily and 6-hour chart. We're going to talk about a few different targets that I'm watching. This is ADA on the weekly. Before we talk about Cardano, just brief mention to S&P 500, to just traditional markets in general. From the all-time high back here in January, down 23% now. It's notable because we really need to start, as we're trying to find the bottom, we're trying to at least track the bottom formation for all markets. It's notable because 23% to the downside. Now, the last three, besides this one, similar vibes, right? Type of environments that markets have traded in. We have COVID. This was the COVID swing low, 2020. That was a 35% dip. And this is a high fear, very quick move, right? Then we have the 2018 correction. And this was the bear market for Bitcoin, 20% for that time. And you can see that's just shy of where we are now with the 23% so far. And then also I think is really relevant is the crash in 2008 spurred on by the mortgage crisis, the housing market crisis. And this is a 57% dip. A lot of people, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I don't really know how much into crypto he is. I'm always telling him, buy the fear, accumulate for the long term. And he's the only one that I will say that to. I will not say that here on YouTube. This is not financial advice, everybody. You all know that. This is me tracking the data with you, but this fear that was back here, it's still lingering. Everybody remembers just the news nonstop and what was happening here. I think it's way different, right? It's similar that there is fear and that there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but what was happening here is not what is happening right now. This mortgage and housing crisis and crash was brought on by just a lot of unregulated markets and these mortgages being handed out to people that should not have mortgages. And we're in a different environment in the housing space, at least right now. And the things that are pushing markets down right now isn't really that, right? It's different, right? We have inflation. We have a war going on. We have all of this stimulus that was just flying out the door. And it's has repercussions. And we're feeling the brunt of that right now. So bottom line is this, with all that said and done, when we're looking at this, look at the average of all these drops, right? 57%, 20%, 35%, and here we are to 23%. In terms of like fear level, I don't think this is the worst out of all of these other times, especially just taking into account the housing crisis and COVID. There was a ton of fear. And so I think it's wise to start really tracking. Yes, it can go lower, and I think the sentiment is it likely will, but really starting to track the bottom formation and the structure of what that looks like. And part of it potentially could be some type of capitulation that we should watch out for in the coming weeks. So that's that. Now we can pivot to ADA, and I say that because the markets are important. Like traditional markets are important when we're looking at cryptocurrencies in general. I don't like to say that ADA follows Bitcoin anymore. It's Bitcoin, ADA, and every other cryptocurrency follows traditional markets. That's how it works. Because ADA following Bitcoin, not really. We look at an ADA BTC chart, it's always all over the place. Right now in the daily chart, it's up, but it's been down, right? Same with ADA ETH. ADA doesn't follow ETH. ADA is just trading with ETH on its own little chart in its own little world. And then we have ADA USD, and this is based on traditional markets. It's based on what's going on in the world. And I want to dig into the chart right now. Here's the weekly chart. When we're looking at this chart, it's like, all right, we have this long-term trend line that goes back to 2008 that we've distinguished, we've identified, and you could just see ADA just continuing to consolidate above that area. Now, the other thing that is a little tricky is we have Vassal hard fork in 12 days. And even in this bearish environment, Cardano has been holding up strong. I think it's a really big reason why. Vassal hard fork coming up. We know what happened previous hard forks. ADA just was strong. And so here's ADA in a bear market. It's not making that huge pop to the upside because we're not in a bull market. We're not in an uptrend, but it is hanging in there. compared to just every other crypto that we see on these charts. It's really hanging in there. And we can get a sense of that if we start digging into just the daily chart. Look at this. This is a daily chart currently at 49 cents, and it literally was here a month ago in May. So it's been very sideways even through all of this turmoil and all of this mess that has been going on. So here's on the daily chart, a few things. Number one, you all know we've been tracking this ascending triangle on the daily, which has been really a month in formation. And we broke to the bottom trend line. We broke through the bottom trend line. We have the target to 28 cents. It's down here. We know it. But on the way there, since we broke to the bottom, we talk about this pullback to the trend line, right? And ADA is very much still in this kind of gravitation to the trend line move. And this is so normal for this pattern, this ascending triangle pattern. Even now on the daily chart, it's, there's a green candle, and we can get a sense of what this looks like on the 6-hour chart. And this is what it looks like. Higher lows with this upper trend line, new upper trend line that I've charted here. And it's a mini ascending triangle as Cardano does make this pullback move. So higher lows on the bottom trend line. And then right now we have a touch here before it actually fell through the trend line, a touch here, which is an upper trend line, horizontal upper trend line. And the resistance right now at that trend line is literally confluent with this larger ascending triangle that we looked at. So right now it's interesting that this upper trend line of the mini ascending triangle is perfectly confluent with the lower trend line of this larger ascending triangle. So it's a really, I would say, important area to watch for Cardano to potentially make a move to. We're looking at around 55 cents. So in this bullish environment, if ADA or if crypto in general is just gonna get some bullish legs, and it's nothing crazy, it could be a total fake out. This is not like a bullish long-term confirmation, a move like this, but a 10% move or so. Everybody's getting a little excited over there on Twitter. We could see ADA kind of forming going into the apex of this ascending triangle, just kind of forming a potential breakout scenario up here in the 55 cent range. If we go over to this chart, it's important on the daily because guess what's at 55 cents? The 20-day moving average, again, confluent, again, with that target, which is the lower trend line of the ascending triangle. It's all coming together very nicely from a technical analysis perspective for us to track if it gets to move to the upside. If ADA makes a move to the upside and breaks this area above it and closes a daily candle above the 20-day moving average, that would be pretty epic. It's a video on its own if it happens, because right above there is the 50-day moving average now as it's made its way closer to the 20-day. They're consolidating together. They're squeezing together. That's around 58 cents. It's still the question, can ADA break back into this ascending triangle? This weekend will be telling. Going back to the 6-hour though, let's really discuss and look at downside targets. This market is a mess right now. There's a ton of fear. Everybody's waiting for Bitcoin to break below $20,000. Everybody's waiting for Bitcoin now to go to like $10,000, $15,000. Everybody's extremely fearful. So let's just say everything's falling and we're in that scenario and it's one of those tough weekends, right? Well, here is ADA on this ascending triangle, and we have a breakout to the downside right around 40 cents. That's a notable target because zooming all the way out on the 6-hour chart, that is that trend line that goes all the way back here. And check it out. I'm just scrolling all the way back to 2018, right? So that trend line is literally the target of this very small ascending triangle if ADA does break and fall to the downside. And it just happens to be on the path to the target of the larger ascending triangle, which is just below 30 cents, right? So those are the targets to downside. So the reason I do these videos, if you're unaware and if you're still watching this video, is simply so that I can find structure, I can find formation, and I can really just visualize on these charts the scenarios, the setups, what to look for. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, these patterns play out very often, right? That's why we know we get pullbacks to lower trend lines a lot. And so I'm looking at this area around 55 cents, and I want to see if ADA makes a move there, how does ADA interact with that area, right? It mentally prepares me to anticipate that move. And then to the downside, I'm sitting here saying, okay, if markets turn red, here's what I'm ready for. Is there a bounce? How does ADA interact with this 40 cent target out of the smaller ascending triangle? Is there a bounce? Is there support, right? Will there be consolidation at that moment? Or is ADA going to very strongly break through to the downside? If it's in an environment where it's falling, even through this target without bouncing, and we're getting ready to hit a 28, 30 cent target to the downside, remember that's a target out of this ascending triangle. This is where this is very important to anticipate, because those areas for me is when I need to warm up my buying fingers. That's basically what it is. It's like, for me, if it's falling into that vicinity, it's time to buy more ADA for me personally. That's not financial advice. This is just my outlook. This is what I'm doing, and this is the data I'm using to do it. This is a roadmap, as we like to call it on this channel. So this is what I'm watching for ADA. I know there's a lot of people that are just very bearish right now. I get it. Every time throughout the years, we've been in this territory, which is oversold down here, traditional markets, even Bitcoin, ADA. Every time we're in this vicinity, there's a lot of fear. People just don't think it'll bounce, it'll go up. They just don't see it. But I always have to be ready for it, because I've seen it. It happens time and time again. Markets surprise us. And that's not hopium. I just know it's possible, and I want to see what happens if there is a 10% move to 55 cents. Can ADA break through? It could be a really bullish sign for ADA if it does. Going back to the 6 hour, here is basically what it looks like. A move here, 55 cents. Here, 40 cents. Or down here, 28 cents. That's the visualization. Now, in this current moment, how you feeling out there? Are you ready? Are you prepared? That's the question. This is not a game of prediction. It's a game of preparedness. So these are my thoughts as we go into the weekend. Either way, everybody, Cardano's building. And either way, we are so zoomed in right now. Just zoom out on the chart. Just zoom out on the chart with everything that ADA is building, everything that's happening in the Cardano ecosystem. It is resetting right now. The charts are resetting. Even if we go lower, and we are ready for that long-term uptrend that will continue one day. I really think so. So those are my thoughts, everybody. I hope you have a great start to your weekend. I will see you in the next video. God bless.